What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We today are working on rear suspension for Hank, our C50, and we're going to try to finish up the air ride suspension on the back of this thing. So if you guys are new to the channel, I'm Anthony Bronner, and this is Hank, our C50, 69 Chevy C50, and this is our entry to the 2024 Rat Rod Magazine build-off. And so far, we've taken this thing out of the field where it was abandoned by me a long time ago. And we have now taken it and we put it onto a newer chassis that's got independent front suspension out from underneath the motorhome. We've airbagged the front end of this thing. We've got the cab sitting on there. Let's do some modifications to get all that to work out, but that's on there all now and working out good. And we're working on the rear suspension. Last video, we've got videos on all that stuff if you guys want to go check any of that out. Last video, we did some modifications to the frame in the back here, cleaned off all the old rear suspension and got some airbags mounted. And today's video, we're gonna finish that all up with some big cool trailing arms coming down through there and a panhard bar and whatever else we need to do to finish this up. I already showed you guys and talked about what it is that I'm doing and all of that in the last video, and I had people complaining that I talked too much in the last video. Apparently me trying to explain that was just too much for some people, but anyways, long story short, we're just going to start cutting, and if you want to know more about what it is that I'm cutting here and why, you'll have to go back and watch the last video if you haven't done that yet. I'm going to leave in this video a little bit more of the stuff that I usually cut out, because you guys want to see me working more, some of you want to see me working more or whatever. That's what I'm going to do, and I guess the mass of you can tell me one way or another whether that was the right thing or the wrong thing to do. I'm okay with it being right. I'm okay with showing you guys more if you want to see more. I just usually try to cut out as much as I can that I feel like is just, you know, wasted filler material that you guys don't need to see, like me walking back and forth 12 times here to try to adjust the height on my torch. I have a ruler that I do that with, and it ended up being just the right height, and like I said, usually I got to go back and forth a few times, and I just get a little nudge each time. So set my 0, and we are ready to cut. That's not all the pieces that we need to cut for this deal, but that gives me a start to make sure that I'm on the right path and everything's lining up good. So we need to go over there now and check this fit on everything, and then we'll have to come back and cut all this stuff. 4 more of these. Well, 4 more of everything except for these little guys here. These are to hold the air tank to the side of the frame. I figured while I'm cutting stuff, I could blend those in. So the rest of that, we need 3 more, 4 total of everything. So let's go see how they fit. So luckily the old shop and the new shop aren't that far apart. They're only a minute or so away. I guess we can time it and see. But it's still a total pain to have to go back and forth between the two. So yeah, I had somebody comment, and I had several people comment in the last video or two that I'm talking too much, and maybe that's the case. I don't know. Like I said, I could be wrong. Guy's being weird. Yeah, I could have edited out too much stuff and put in too much talking, but I don't know. I want you guys to let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you think I talk too much in the video or whatever. And we'll see what happens in this video, if you guys like the way it's played out or not. I'm really kind of only just talking right here because I wanted you guys to see what it took to be able to go cut the parts and to have to run back and forth. And to have to run back and forth in between shops and how much time that takes and everything, and just kind of give you guys an idea of why it's taken me as long as it is to get this project done. And I'm also working on a bunch of other stuff at the same time. This isn't my only project, so this is kind of my side thing, I guess, if you will. And we're still trying to get some stuff done on the building. We're getting super close to being able to have the building to where we can get our occupancy permit in the new shop, but we're not quite there yet. I got a couple more things left, so I'm hoping that maybe towards the end of this week I can, if I'm lucky, be able to go ahead and try to get the city out and see how that goes, see if they'll approve it or not, or then give me a new list of stuff that needs done. So then I'll have to go fix that and start all over, you know. But yeah, we're almost there. I can see the building over there off to the side, so not really all that long to go back and forth, but it's just a pain because you gotta stop everything you're doing, you gotta lock up everything and then unlock everything and yada yada yada. So the old dually here, AC quit working on it, so now I have no AC in here. It's got 300,000 miles on it, just real close to it. And this morning, apparently the gas gauge is acting up because I ran out of gas on the way into town. Didn't know that was a thing, so yeah, that was a new thing, at least as of today anyways. But however long that took is how long it takes to go from one shop to the other, because I'm pulling in right now to the new building. Got semi-trailer sitting out here. Just picked up another one of those the other day. That was kind of cool. Have some more storage and stuff because, you know, all that up there isn't enough storage for a hoarder like me. But always got to have more. Can't quite back up to the dock, but we get close enough to chuck this stuff in the door there and we'll see how it works. All right, before I even clean the back of this up or anything, I want to check and see if it even fits and make sure that I didn't screw something up. So, well, kind of hard to tell like this. Looking pretty good. I wanted it to have a little reveal right here on the bottom of this arm, or that part of the arm, and then down here at the lower part of it. I talked about having a little ski at the bottom of it in the last video. It's this piece that hangs down here so that there will just be a lot smaller contact piece if it does start to hang up on something. And it's got a nice rolled edge here to where it should hopefully, if it hangs up on anything, just kind of slide up over something and right off the other end and slide off. That was my goal anyways with this. So this is all looking pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this all up, and then I can go over there and try to make sure that fits the axle and all of that and go from there. I didn't bring my little chisel that I usually use to scrape everything off with. So I bought these at Harbor Freight because I needed this 1/2 inch to be able to drill into the frame on the truck, and all my other ones were either so dull they wouldn't work or they would broke off. And yes, I know people sharpen them, but I, for some reason or another, have no ability to do so. So anyways, long story short, bought these things over at Harbor Freight. The end of it just come right out. So I have a little end on them that's made to where it would go into like the impact. You just clip into your impact, which I thought might be kind of cool, handy. It's quick to release them and change them out, and I like to just go through a bunch of different sizes if I'm drilling a hole, you know, like the size that I'm going to end up having in the square tubing. So just figured we could run down the row real quick. Well, I threw in one that's like a 3/32 or whatever, just the pilot hole. And I threw an 1/8 inch in there, and the end of it just came right out. And now it's stuck in there. I went ahead and tried to put the drill on there and just use a regular drill and back it back out of there. That didn't work. I tried using all kinds of different pliers. I even tried using some cutters here to be able to get in there and actually try to grab a hold of it and pry it out of there. That didn't work. So I resorted to welding a nut on there, which I didn't figure was going to work, and yeah, that just broke right off. So yeah, I guess I'm now at the point where we're going to torch it out of there. I don't know what else to do. It's just not enough left in there to do anything, and it's in my way. Oh yeah, I don't recommend you buy these, just FYI. So I'm really irritated about the fact that I had to just cut that out, but I don't really have any other options here in this shop, so it is what it is. And I think rather than chewing up some other bits that I have, I'm going to use these to at least get a round hole back in there again, because it's probably going to trash the bit trying to go through where I just cut with the torch. So we'll see out of curiosity if any of the rest of these are any good. I can't even get the rest of these to drill. They're junk. Screw this, I'm taking them back. Well, I wish I could tell you that that didn't waste like 2 hours of my life trying to get just one hole through a piece of square tubing, but that'd be a lie, because that's what it did. It killed 2 hours of my day, but time we ticked around with getting the other piece out of there and went back to the store and all that stuff, it's just ridiculous. But it is what it is. It's part of the game, so moving on. Put this up here and just kind of double check where we're at. I am sliding this down just a little bit now just to make up for a little. I didn't have it quite this far back before. I'm just kind of running it to the end of that where I angled it. And I think it's still going to be okay. We've got the seam reveal pretty well all the way down our piece. And we're looking good across here, so I can maybe tap that just a hair. Oh, I just moved it, so now it doesn't matter. Something like that, that looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and tack our square tubing together. And also, while I've been messing with this hole, Connor's been over there messing with the bracket, trying to get some holes in the chassis over there for that. I think he's having a little better luck since he's getting used to new drill bits and didn't have to use the old crappy ones I was using to begin with, so. So not only did Connor get this bracket here on this side stuck on, he also cleaned up both sides of the chassis pretty good and got a bunch of the garbage that was on there off and made it look a lot better. So I think what I'm going to do next is go ahead and prep this for some paint. I scored some paint at the dump the other day, so I'm kind of excited to open that can up and see if we'll be able to use it or not. And I need to prep this real quick before we can do that. So guess that's what's next. So my paint I'm going to try to use is some Rust-Oleum Farm tractor paint stuff. It's stuff I found at the dump. Our local dump has a place for paint and oils and things like that. If you've got some, you put it in this area and then they kind of go through and sort it a little bit, and if there's something in there still usable, they put it in a place where you can just come and get it for free. So kind of a cool deal. I already opened this up and found out that they had a really thick layer of stuff on the top of it, so I'm going to try to fish that out. I'll bust it loose away from the sides first. Yeah, probably whoever took it to the dump figured it was just trash, and probably is for the most part. But I think I can still use it once I get this piece out of here that was all set up on top. It's almost basically like a piece of rubber that was on top of it. I'm hoping it still sets up and everything like it's supposed to. I mean, there's about that much in there, so it'll be a lot of paint. There'll be plenty of paint to paint everything that I want to paint black, I think, at least on the chassis and whatnot. So hopefully it'll still be good enough to use. I've had really good luck with this stuff in the past. That's actually what's on the chassis of Hookers and Blow and Old Crow. Yeah, and I've used it on truck beds and a bunch of random farm equipment and stuff like that that I've fixed over the years, and it holds up pretty good. So, and the easiest way to apply it is actually put it on with a roller. So this is left over from our bathroom the other day. I pulled it out of the trash. Julie had used this and did our bathroom trim and whatnot, and chucked it. So none of this is costing us anything at this point. So hopefully it works. Put a little in here. And since you're rolling it, you lose none. I mean, zero, unless you spill it or whatever, I guess, but put a little on this side. So bottom line, a little bit like that will probably do the whole side of our frame rail, and we won't have any loss, so that's pretty cool. I don't know about this roller. We'll see how that works out. It's got some paper that was stuck to it from being in the trash, and it was already used once, but it still kind of has a little bit of crush to it, I guess, or what are you going to call it? It's still kind of soft, so we'll see what happens. There's actually paint left in there. There's probably enough that I could have done all three of those cross members that are left, but to be honest with you, this foam thing, having already had dry paint on it, really kind of sucks. It doesn't get into anything, so I'm gonna probably have to repaint this because I couldn't get around any of the rivets or anything like that with it. And I guess the biggest thing though I was wanting to try to do is see if it was still gonna be usable or not. So I'm gonna let this dry tonight. It's hot, I'm tired, I'm ready to go home. So we'll see tomorrow if this stuff is dry and it seems like it's gonna be okay to use. And if it is, then we can put our bracket on and go ahead and kind of tidy up everything else that we've got to do. I did go ahead and cut the other pieces that we need to be able to plate the sides of our trailing arms and everything. So once I can get bracket on, test fit that, make sure it fits good, then we'll be able to knock this stuff out fairly quickly, hopefully tomorrow. So we'll see how it goes. Well, our paint turned out pretty good, and our brackets bolted back in, and our arms are the right length, but I've screwed up on something when I was moving stuff around, and my hole got messed up for the bottom bolt on the bags. Yeah, now the bottom of the bag is pulled forward to go into the hole, and that's not right. It doesn't need to be like that, so I'm gonna have to re-drill the holes that are in the square tubing to go for that bottom airbag bolt. Then another problem that I have screwed up with, and this is just from lack of experience with working with semi bags, because this is the first time I've ever used bags from a semi on a project, and I did not give it enough room right in through here. So let me grab the camera, I'll show you real quick. So you see when the bag is stretched down or aired up, it'd have plenty of clearance right there. Well, when it's compressed, I'll walk around over here and you can see it. When it's compressed, the bag does some weird stuff and kind of comes up past that mount, and then now it's hitting the frame. And that doesn't even have any air in it yet, so it's gonna hit probably worse when it starts to air up. So I'm gonna have to fix that as well. Really irritates me when I do something stupid like that, but it is what it is, and I guess I'm gonna have to cut the frame back apart in that one spot, fix that, and get to work drilling some more holes. So I'll come back to you guys after I got that done, because then you can see how the arm is actually supposed to be on at that point instead of, you know, the way it is now, all screwed up. Okay, I fixed my mistakes and everything is lined up now where it's supposed to be. Everything is fitting way better and we're ready to move on. So I guess I'll give you a look at this real quick. The trailing arm is right there where it needs to be. I do have a mount for the bottom of the axle. That is just my first bracket that I've cut for that to make sure that that's going to fit and work out good. So that's looking good. I think now we're at the point where we're ready to go ahead and cut the other 4 brackets out for the bottom of the rear end, get those welded in place, and go ahead and finish welding up our trailing arms and get both of those knocked out. Well, our trailing arms are on, looking pretty good. I'm happy with that, so I guess we need to go ahead and work on the brackets to attach them to the rear end. And I've already got those cut, so that won't take much to get that finished up. So I know you guys seen me cutting these out earlier, but I didn't give you a really good look at them. This is what they look like, basically pretty straightforward bracket there. Axle bolt for the rod end. So what I'm going to do to make this fairly stout and make it actually a little bit easier to install too is I cut these spacers out. And these spacers are also going to be structural for this bracket. And I'm going to put those on there and put this all together on the bench so we can make sure that our through bolt holes there are lined up perfect and there's no problems there. Then we'll go ahead and mount this onto the axle after we get this here all set up. So kind of an idea from the side view. I'm gonna put them in here, but I'm gonna go ahead and put the one end of it right up to where it can be welded inside there up against the axle, and then we'll just be able to run beads down the side of it here and then leave plenty of room for our rod end to go on there. So just got to get it all clamped up. I got the bolt in there. I got it kind of snug. It's kind of loose actually. And then I'm just going to drop this bad boy in here, kind of where we want it at. Now you guys can kind of see that that's going to be right up there at the edge of that tube, so we'll be able to weld down the inside here and over and all the way around the outside. right, we got the pinion angle kind of roughly set where we want it to be. We've got this thing in there from side to side, perfectly in the center, lined up with the frame rails. And then we've also got this thing squared with the frame rails so that it's not going to dog track going down the road. So with that being done, and the fact that we made our trailing arms the exact same length and ran the rod ends out the same length and all that on all the corners to make them those are identical, and the fact that the brackets that we made are identical to each other now, then there's no reason why we can't go ahead now and put the brackets on. So we'll be able to do that. And then once we get that all on, welded up good, then we'll go ahead and have to raise it up to ride height. Once we get to ride height, we can build our top arms and set 100% sure our pinion angle at that point. But we want that set at ride height because it will probably change ever so slightly through its range of motion. So we want it to be right where it's going to be when it's going down the road. So that's where we're at. Okay, so before we go on any farther, I want to get this thing up to ride height. And the way I'm going to establish ride height is I'm going to measure it. Grab a tape measure. I'm going to measure it and see what our height is now. Just measure like the center of the wheel well before, outside of the fender. And
center of the wheel well?
Or measure up here. Let's measure off this front lip. Pick a point, get our height.
21.
Okay, and I'm gonna air it up and see how high it goes up to. We'll raise it all the way up as high as it goes, and then we can take and split the difference, and we'll know exactly how high up that we've Okay, so you had 21 at the lowest point,
Yep.
and 29 at the highest point. So that's 8 difference. So half of 8 is going to be 4. So we're going to be at 25 is what we're going to shoot for. So let me know when we get to 25. Okay. Now we need to raise the back of it up and try to get it leveled out. It's still leaning, isn't it? I don't understand why. Maybe it's just the front clip.
That probably is
It must just be the front clip. Okay. It wasn't doing that before, and there's no reason for it to do it. Alright, fair enough. To the back. So to get the back up, we're just going to use a lift like we've been doing. Get over that step.
Yeah, I got it. Just that.
What's that look like there? Does that measure about the same height all the way around? Well, how much height do we got between the axle and the frame?
Four and an eighth.
4 1/8. So that's pretty much right there where it's going to be level then. So I've kind of changed the whole design of this thing as we went along here, since we didn't put the step in and all that. So to catch you guys up on what I'm feeling like we need to do now to be able to finish up the 4-link on the back of this, is we need to put a heavy enough cross member in through here where we can actually tie 2 more bars on. And I think we'll just go ahead and triangulate those to where we don't have to put a band bar on here. That makes the most sense, cleans it all up, makes it, you know, better. So I think we can take some more of the 2x3 square tubing that we've got. We'll cut a piece that'll fit in between the frame here. We'll go ahead and trim up some of this cross member here until that will butt right up against this. We can weld that square tubing to this cross member. That makes it uber strong at that point and gives us a plenty good enough place where we can attach our tabs at the top up here. And then we'll just have to make some more at the rear end, kind of like what we did on the bottom, and make some bars. Connor did a hell of a good job busting out that cross member there, so now we're ready for some brackets. And while he was doing that, I went over and cut us some brackets at the other shop. So on the top of this thing, I'm gonna put 3/4 inch rod ends instead of the big ones. 3/4 inch is actually plenty strong enough to do what it is we're doing back here. It just doesn't look right once you see this big giant stuff all hanging out there. It looks like it's way too small. Well, this mount up here and these bars on the top, you're not gonna see, so it's not gonna look weird. And like I said, they're gonna be plenty strong enough. So on the rear end side of things, to triangulate this, I've got 2 brackets that are, 4 brackets actually, that are exactly the same. And you can just bolt them together. And I opened up this here to be a little bit bigger than what the tube is on the axle so that we can just turn it. So we'll turn it and it'll be clocked like that, and then that'll put this bar at an angle. So it'll look something like this on the chassis. I'll tighten this up. Something like that on the chassis. I'll grab you and show you. So that right there is going to be triangulated almost up here to the center. We'll be able to line that up really good. I have some brackets for the center, already made 2. That's these right here, and they will go right here underneath square tubing. So I got the outside ones for those. We'll have to go ahead and get everything made up, and then I can get a measurement for the inside one. So 2 more brackets to make after this, but I got to get these bars made and all of this mocked up in here first.